Have you ever walked out of your doctor's office feeling like you were doing everything right, but somehow your kidneys still weren't getting the results you hoped for? Maybe you've started eating more vegetables. Maybe you've stopped buying processed foods. Maybe you're trying harder than ever to protect your health. Then you look at your next blood test, and your doctor tells you that your kidney function still needs careful attention. That can be incredibly frustrating. Because here's something many people don't realize. When it comes to kidney health, simply eating more vegetables isn't always the whole answer. For people whose healthcare team recommends limiting potassium, choosing the right vegetables and preparing them the right way can make a meaningful difference. And that's exactly what this video is about. Today, we're counting down 5 vegetables that are naturally lower in potassium and are commonly included in kidney-friendly meal plans for people who have been advised to watch their potassium intake. But this isn't just another list of foods. For every vegetable, you'll discover why it made the list, one important benefit it offers, and one simple mistake that many people unknowingly make. And one vegetable near the top of today's countdown is often skipped, not because it's bad for the kidneys, but because many people completely misunderstand where it fits in a kidney-friendly diet. So why is all of this so confusing? Imagine 2 neighbors. Both are over 60. Both want to protect their kidneys. Both fill their grocery carts with fresh vegetables every week. But one of them prepares those vegetables in a way that better supports the eating plan recommended by their healthcare team, while the other unknowingly cancels out some of those healthy choices through the way the meal is put together. The vegetables may look almost identical. The final meal isn't. That's why kidney-friendly eating isn't only about what you buy. It's also about how you prepare it. And that's encouraging, because sometimes the answer isn't changing your entire diet. It's making a few smarter choices with the foods already sitting in your refrigerator. Before we look at the first vegetable, there's one simple idea that makes the rest of today's countdown much easier to understand. You've probably heard that people with kidney disease should avoid potassium. That's one of the biggest myths surrounding kidney health. The truth is much simpler. Potassium isn't the enemy. Your body actually needs it every day to help your muscles, nerves, and heart work properly. The goal isn't to remove potassium from your diet. The goal is to keep it in the range that's right for you. Healthy kidneys usually manage that balance automatically. But if your healthcare team has recommended limiting potassium, choosing lower potassium vegetables may become an important part of your eating plan. For someone else with kidney disease, that advice may be completely different. That's why 2 people with the same diagnosis can receive different nutrition recommendations. So today's video isn't about saying that everyone with kidney disease should eat a low-potassium diet. Instead, it's designed for people whose doctor or renal dietitian has already recommended watching potassium and who want practical, everyday food choices. And don't worry, this isn't about expensive superfoods or complicated meal plans. By the end of this countdown, you'll understand why these vegetables are commonly included in many kidney-friendly eating plans, making it much easier to shop, cook, and eat with confidence. So now that we've cleared up one of the biggest myths about potassium, let's start with vegetable number 5, a leafy green that many people misunderstand, even though it can be a smart choice for the right person. Let's start with number 5. If I asked you to name a vegetable that could fit into a kidney-conscious eating plan, lettuce probably wouldn't be your first answer. Many people think of it as just water. And that's exactly why they overlook it. But here's what makes lettuce interesting. For people whose healthcare team recommends limiting potassium, certain types of lettuce can be a practical way to add more vegetables while keeping potassium intake lower than many darker leafy greens. Not because lettuce is a miracle food, but because sometimes the best choices are the ones that are simple enough to become everyday habits. So why did lettuce earn a place on today's list? The answer isn't that it's the most nutrient-packed vegetable. It's that lettuce creates an easy foundation for meals. Most people don't sit down and eat a bowl of plain lettuce. They build something around it: a salad, a sandwich, a simple side dish. And that flexibility matters because healthy eating becomes much easier when the food still feels enjoyable. But here's the part many people miss. The lettuce itself usually isn't what changes the meal. What goes on top often matters much more. A simple salad can quickly become a very different choice when it's covered with salty processed toppings, large amounts of cheese, or bottled dressings high in sodium. That's why many nutrition professionals encourage looking at the entire meal, not just one ingredient. Sometimes the healthiest improvement isn't removing the vegetable. It's improving everything around it. Here's an easy example. Instead of relying on heavily processed toppings, try adding fresh ingredients like cucumber, red bell pepper, or shredded cabbage. Then use a simple dressing made with ingredients such as olive oil, lemon juice, vinegar, and herbs if those choices fit your personal meal plan. Small changes like these can make a familiar meal feel healthier without making it complicated. Now let's clear up a common misunderstanding. Many people believe iceberg lettuce has almost no nutritional value. That's not quite true. While it contains fewer vitamins than some darker leafy greens, it still provides hydration, some fiber, and can be a useful option for people who have been advised to follow a lower potassium eating pattern. Remember, this countdown isn't about finding the best vegetable. It's about understanding why different vegetables can serve different purposes. One simple habit can also make lettuce much easier to enjoy. Wash it well, dry it thoroughly, and prepare only what you'll use in the next day or two. Because when lettuce stays crisp and ready to eat, you're far more likely to actually use it. And that leads to an important lesson. Healthy choices don't always fail because people don't know what to eat. Sometimes they fail because the healthy option isn't convenient. So the biggest takeaway from our number 5 vegetable is this: lettuce may look ordinary, but its real advantage is that it makes kidney-conscious meals easier to build and easier to maintain. And the next vegetable takes that idea one step further. Most people notice it because of its bright color. But the reason it earned a place on today's list has almost nothing to do with how it looks. Most people notice this vegetable because of its bright red color. But that isn't the reason it earned a place on today's list. The real reason is something you can't see at first glance. Let's talk about number 4, red bell peppers. For people whose healthcare team recommends limiting potassium, red bell peppers can be a practical choice because they offer something many kidney-conscious meals need: more flavor and variety without making meals feel restrictive. And that matters more than many people realize. One of the biggest challenges with changing your diet after kidney concerns isn't knowing what foods exist. It's avoiding the feeling that every meal has become the same. The same vegetables, the same side dishes, the same routine. That's where red bell peppers stand out. They bring natural sweetness, crunch, and color to meals that might otherwise feel repetitive. Add them to a salad. Mix them into an omelet. Roast them alongside dinner. Or slice them for an easy snack if that fits your personal meal plan. A healthy food becomes much easier to keep eating when it still feels enjoyable. But here's what many people miss. Red bell peppers are not just a way to make a plate look better. They're also naturally rich in vitamin C, which supports normal immune function and healthy tissues. They also contain colorful plant compounds called carotenoids, which researchers continue to study for their role in overall health. That doesn't make them a kidney treatment, but it does show why choosing vegetables isn't only about one number on a nutrition label. It's about building meals with foods that offer different benefits. Now here's something many people don't think about. Does preparation change the value of a bell pepper? Sometimes, yes. Eating them raw can help preserve more vitamin C. But lightly roasting or sautéing them can also create a sweeter flavor and make them easier to enjoy in different meals. The best preparation method is usually the one you'll actually use consistently. Because the healthiest vegetable is not the one sitting untouched in your refrigerator. It's the one that becomes part of your routine. There's another mistake that can quietly change a healthy meal. Many people choose fresh vegetables carefully, then add bottled sauces, processed seasonings, or salty toppings without realizing how much they change the final dish. The pepper may not be the problem. The additions often are. Instead, simple ingredients like fresh herbs, lemon juice, garlic, or a small amount of olive oil can bring out the natural flavor without making the meal complicated. Sometimes healthier eating isn't about adding more. It's about letting good ingredients speak for themselves. Here's one small habit that makes a bigger difference than people expect. When you bring home red bell peppers, wash them and slice them before storing them. That removes one of the biggest barriers to healthy eating, having to prepare the food when you're already hungry. For many older adults, convenience often matters more than motivation. When the healthier choice is ready to grab, it's much easier to make it part of everyday life. So what's the biggest lesson from today's number 4 vegetable? Red bell peppers aren't here because they are a miracle food. They're here because they solve a real problem. They make kidney-conscious meals easier to enjoy. They add flavor. They add varieties. And they help prove that a healthier eating pattern doesn't have to feel boring. But the next vegetable on our list solves a completely different challenge. It doesn't stand out because of its color. It doesn't need complicated recipes. In fact, this simple vegetable is often overlooked because people assume it has almost nothing to offer, but that's exactly why many people underestimate it. So far, we've looked at vegetables that add color and variety to your meals. But our number 3 choice solves a different problem. It isn't exciting because it's unusual. It's valuable because it's simple. It's refreshing, affordable, easy to find. And yet many people overlook it because they assume it's mostly water with little else to offer. We're talking about cucumber. And that's exactly why it deserves attention. For people whose healthcare team recommends limiting potassium, cucumbers can be a practical lower potassium vegetable option that adds freshness without making meals complicated. Sometimes the foods we ignore are the ones that become the easiest habits to keep. Think about how many meals become better with just a few slices of cucumber. Add them to a salad. Place them in a sandwich. Serve them alongside a meal. Or keep them ready for a quick snack. Their mild flavor works with almost anything. And that matters. Because one of the biggest reasons people struggle with healthier eating isn't always the rules. It's repetition. When meals become boring, even good intentions can disappear. Cucumber helps solve that problem by adding freshness without requiring a completely different way of eating. Here's something many people don't consider. When choosing kidney-conscious foods, most people focus on nutrients. But enjoying your food matters too. Texture plays a bigger role than many people realize. A crisp cucumber can make a simple meal feel more satisfying. And small details like that can make healthier habits easier to continue over time. Now here's a mistake that surprises many people. People often assume every cucumber product offers the same benefits. But they don't. Fresh cucumber and pickled cucumbers can be very different choices. The pickling process often adds significant sodium, which may be important for people who have also been advised to monitor sodium intake. So if cucumbers are part of your routine, fresh cucumber is usually the simpler option. And if you enjoy pickles, checking the nutrition label can help you understand what you're actually adding to your meal. Sometimes the difference isn't the food itself. It's what happened during preparation. Here's an easy habit to try. Don't think of cucumber as only a salad ingredient. Add slices to a sandwich. Mix them into meals where they fit your personal eating plan. Or prepare a container ahead of time so they're ready when you need something quick. Healthy choices become much easier when they don't require extra effort at the moment you need them most. Now, one small question people often ask: should you peel a cucumber? The answer depends on what works best for you. If the skin is tender and washed properly, keeping it on adds some extra fiber. If you prefer the texture without the peel, that's completely fine too. The most important choice is the one that makes you more likely to actually enjoy the vegetable regularly. So what's the biggest lesson from today's number 3 vegetable? Cucumber proves that kidney-conscious eating doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the most useful foods are the ones that are affordable, familiar, and easy to include again and again. But now we're moving into the top 2. And the next vegetable is different. It doesn't just add something to your plate. It can actually replace a food many people thought they had to give up when changing their eating habits. Before we reveal the number 2 vegetable, here's one mistake that quietly changes an otherwise healthy meal. 2 people can buy the very same vegetables, follow similar advice, and still end up with meals that look very different. The reason usually isn't the vegetable itself. It's everything that's added afterward. Salty sauces, heavy dressings, processed toppings, convenience seasoning mixes. A good food choice can quickly become a much less balanced meal. That's why kidney-conscious eating isn't only about what you buy. It's also about how you prepare it. And our next vegetable is a perfect example of that idea. Because instead of asking you to give up familiar foods, it offers another way to enjoy them. Vegetable 2, cauliflower. If someone served you a bowl of creamy mashed cauliflower without telling you what it was, you might easily mistake it for mashed potatoes. And that's exactly what makes cauliflower so valuable. Unlike most vegetables on today's list, it doesn't simply add something to your plate. It can replace foods that are naturally much higher in potassium. For many people, that's an important difference. Changing your diet often feels difficult because favorite comfort foods suddenly seem off limits. Cauliflower helps solve that problem. It can be mashed, roasted, steamed, added to soups, or turned into cauliflower rice for certain recipes. The goal isn't to imitate every traditional dish perfectly. It's to make healthier eating feel less restrictive. Because the best eating plan is one you can continue for years, not just a few weeks. So why did cauliflower earn the number 2 spot? For people whose healthcare team recommends limiting potassium, cauliflower is naturally lower in potassium than many popular starchy side dishes. It also provides fiber and vitamin C. But its biggest strength isn't a single nutrient. It's flexibility. Instead of focusing only on foods you may need to limit, cauliflower gives you another satisfying option to build meals around. Sometimes the better question isn't, what do I have to give up? It's, what can I enjoy instead? Now here's a question many people overlook. Does the way you cook cauliflower make a difference? Absolutely. Overcooking can leave it soft and watery. Instead, try steaming it until just tender or roasting it until the edges become lightly golden. If you're making mashed cauliflower, draining excess moisture before blending often creates a much creamier texture. Small cooking details like these can make the difference between a recipe you try once and one you happily make again. Here's another common misunderstanding. Many people assume frozen vegetables are less nutritious than fresh ones. But frozen cauliflower can be an excellent choice. It stores well, reduces food waste, and makes healthy meals much easier to prepare on busy days. Convenience isn't taking shortcuts. Sometimes it's what helps healthy habits become consistent. One final tip. Not every cauliflower product is the same. Pre-made cauliflower dishes often contain creamy sauces, processed cheese, or seasoning packets that add much more sodium than expected. Starting with plain fresh or frozen cauliflower gives you far more control over the finished meal. A little garlic, fresh herbs, black pepper, lemon juice, or a small drizzle of olive oil can add plenty of flavor without making the dish complicated. So what's the biggest lesson from today's number 2 vegetable? Cauliflower isn't valuable because it's a miracle food. It's valuable because it makes healthier eating feel familiar instead of restrictive. And sometimes that's exactly what makes a healthy habit last. But now we've reached the final vegetable on today's list. It isn't famous. It doesn't replace another food. Yet it quietly combines many of the advantages we've talked about today into one simple, affordable vegetable that many people overlook. And once you understand why it earned the number 1 spot, you may never walk past it the same way again. We've reached the number 1 vegetable on today's list. And this one may surprise you. Because while many people walk past red cabbage without a second thought, it quietly offers something that matters more than almost any single nutrient. It makes healthy eating easier to maintain. That's why it earned the number 1 spot. Not because it's a miracle food, not because it can reverse kidney disease, but because it combines several practical advantages into one affordable, everyday vegetable. Why it finished number 1, think back to the vegetables we've already covered. Lettuce made healthy meals easier. Red bell peppers added flavor and variety. Cucumbers kept meals fresh and simple. Cauliflower made familiar meals feel less restrictive. Red cabbage brings many of those strengths together. It's naturally versatile. You can use it in salads, soups, stir-fries, or simple side dishes. It stores well, stays fresh longer than many leafy vegetables, and it's usually affordable throughout the year. For many older adults, those practical advantages matter just as much as nutrition. Because the healthiest food isn't always the one with the most impressive nutrition label. It's the one you'll actually keep eating. One more reason it stands out, its deep purple color comes from natural plant compounds called anthocyanins. Researchers continue studying these compounds for their potential role in overall health. That doesn't make red cabbage a superfood. And it certainly doesn't treat kidney disease. It simply gives people following a lower potassium eating plan another colorful, practical choice they can enjoy regularly. The small mistake that changes everything. Like many vegetables we've discussed today, the cabbage usually isn't the problem. The preparation is. Creamy dressings, salty seasoning mixes, processed toppings. Those additions can quickly change the nutritional profile of the meal. Keeping it simple often works best. A little vinegar or lemon juice, fresh herbs, black pepper, and olive oil if it fits your meal plan. Sometimes the simplest meals are also the easiest to repeat. The 5 biggest lessons from today's video before we finish, let's put everything together. First, no single vegetable makes or breaks your kidney health. Your entire meal matters. Second, preparation often has a bigger impact than people expect. Fresh vegetables can quickly become high in sodium depending on what's added. Third, convenience matters. Keeping healthy foods washed, prepared, and ready to use makes good choices much easier. Fourth, if your healthcare team has recommended monitoring potassium, think about the whole meal, not just one ingredient. And finally, don't try to change everything overnight. Choose one vegetable. Try one simple cooking method. Build one habit at a time. Those small changes are far more likely to last. One final thought: if there's one message I hope you remember, it's this: protecting your kidneys isn't about finding one perfect food. It's about making better choices. One meal, one grocery trip, and one habit at a time. Today's vegetables weren't chosen because they are magical. They were chosen because they are practical, affordable, and realistic for everyday life. And those are the kinds of habits people are most likely to keep. Remember, kidney disease isn't the same for everyone. Your lab results, medications, stage of kidney disease, and other health conditions all influence which foods are right for you. So use today's video as a starting point for conversations with your doctor or renal dietitian, not as a replacement for their advice. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which vegetable surprised you the most today? Or if you already enjoy one of them, share your favorite way to prepare it in the comments. Your experience might help someone who's just beginning their kidney health journey. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more practical, evidence-based nutrition advice designed for adults over 60. And don't miss next week's countdown. We'll explore 5 lower potassium fruits that may fit into a kidney-conscious eating plan, including one fruit that surprises almost everyone when they learn where it ranks. Until then, thank you for watching. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.